live ground reports. That's what I want to do right on the top of Newsroom this evening. I want to go across to our Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi. He's joining us on this broadcast right outside the CBI headquarters in Mumbai. Is my colleague Vidya with us also on this broadcast at this time is Atir Khan. He's been tracking the CBI's investigation in Delhi, and right outside the CBI headquarters in Delhi is my colleague Kamaljeet Sandhu. I want to go across first to Kamaljeet. Kamaljeet, you've been speaking to top officials in the CBI who are giving you the specific reasons for Peter Mukerjea's arrest. Take our viewers through why the CBI believes it now has a strong case against Peter Mukerjea. Why is he suddenly a suspect?
Well, Rahul, after Indrani's arrest, Peter Mukerjea tried to paint a picture of an innocent husband who believed his wife and was very trusting of her. But the fact remains that CBI interrogators always believed that there was more to it than meets the eye, that Peter Mukerjea perhaps did not reveal all. And that is why they said there was inconsistencies in his statement, whether we about Rahul Mukerjea's own statement regarding his father, that he had confronted him not just about Sheena Bora's passport, that she had gone missing, and nothing was done about it. And perhaps the fact that Sheena Bora's body was in the garage of Peter Mukerjea for at least a day, the fact that there was a lot of evidence which was taken in the form of laptop of forensic evidence, the fact remains that as far as information coming in from Peter Mukerjea was concerned, things were simply not adding up, Rahul. There was also this thing about how Peter Mukerjea could be suppressing evidence. There could also be a role in destruction of evidence. All this going against Peter Mukerjea, and after the charge sheet was filed today, Peter Mukerjea was finally arrested, and he will be confronted with many more tough questions.
Okay, Sahil Joshi, what will happen in courtroom tomorrow when Peter Mukerjea and Indrani, husband and wife, are brought face to face? So far, Indrani has been the accused. Peter Mukerjea has been staying away from her. He hasn't even gone and visited her in jail. Tomorrow, he too will stand accused along with Indrani.
Absolutely. Now we'll have to see whether they will be produced at the same time or not, because Indrani's judicial custody will be getting over, whereas Peter Mukerjea's concerned, CBI will be asking for his custody for and they are entitled to get at least 14 days custody. It's a murder investigation, so they will be getting to interrogate him in the custody for 14 days. Now, most importantly, that right now what CBI is saying is that they have arrested Peter Mukerjea on the circumstantial evidence basis. That means that Rahul Mukerjea has told CBI, Rahul Mukerjea told this to Mumbai police as well, that he told his father that where is Sheena Bora's passport, because Sheena Bora's passport was with Rahul Mukerjea. So he told his father that the passport is with him. How can Sheena Bora just go to US? He wanted his father to confront Indrani Mukerjea, but Peter Mukerjea told Mumbai police that time that he did confront Indrani, but Indrani did not reveal, and finally they started having fight in the house. So that's why he left at that. So,
okay.
Mumbai police believed his theory, whereas CBI doesn't look like that believing his theory. So he has been arrested for abetting in the crime. So that means 201 section will be applied on him. So he is right now being arrested for abetting in the crime. We'll have to see tomorrow that on what basis CBI wants to further the investigation and what basis CBI wants to take his custody. That will be revealed tomorrow in the court, because CBI will have to tell the court that on these particular points they will be taking his custody.
Vidya is at the CBI office in Mumbai. Vidya, Rahul Mukerjea was brought there as well this evening along with Peter Mukerjea. His lawyers tried to say initially that no, Peter hasn't been arrested. Is Rahul Mukerjea also under the scanner? Is there a possibility of Rahul being arrested too? Is he a suspect, or is he someone who's helping the police and the CBI in the investigation?
Rahul, we have to understand that, at this point, Rahul Mukerjea had all along been supporting the entire CBI's case. He was the one who had gone ahead and registered an entire statement before the magistrate. It approximately took quite a lot of hours before he actually could finish his entire statement. Apart from that, both father and son, along with a few other family members, are inside. In fact, it was not just Rahul who is alone with his father right now at this moment. Inside, it is Peter's entire family which is with him. And in fact, I've spoken to the legal team of Mr. Peter Mukerjea, and they still stand by that entire statement that as of now, what they know is that Peter has not been arrested. So that's one thing that they still stand by. But at the moment, there is utter confusion in their camp as well, as to a couple of their own legal team members are still saying that they don't know. But Mr. Jethmalani is still standing by the statement that what the family members are telling Mr. Jethmalani is that he's not been arrested as yet.
As we speak, Mahesh Jethmalani is on a flight from Mumbai to Delhi. That's what someone in his residence told me. He should land at about 10:30 p.m. this evening. It's interesting that all this while he's actually been on Peter Mukerjea's side, even though he's the senior lawyer along with Gunjan Mangla, who's the junior counsel. Atir Khan, there's a 600-page charge sheet that's been filed against Indrani Mukerjea in the Sheena Bora case, a 600-page charge sheet that the CBI has filed. What details do we have about the charge sheet and about the role that the CBI believes Peter Mukerjea played as an accomplice to murder?
Well, basically, it's a voluminous charge sheet which goes on to narrate the entire events as they unfolded, and the investigations which have been made along with the witnesses' statement. Now, adding to it is the statement of Sheena Bora, which is under section 164 before a magistrate. So that has also given a lot of substance to the charge sheet. As far as Peter Mukerjea's role is concerned, even the Mumbai police was doubtful of his role, but they were sitting over it. He was questioned several times by the Mumbai police, but then every time he was let go. But now what the CBI has found is that they have adequate evidence in the form, because they had reasons to suspect that he had provided the vehicle which was used for the murder. Besides, his residence was also a crime scene because the body was taken there, kept in the garage. There were indications which Sal was pointing out that Rahul clearly said, his son clearly said that the passport was lying here. Also, Sheena Bora's brother had also communicated with Peter Mukerjea and told him that that he's doubtful of Sheena Bora's presence in the US. So all these things added up, and after Sheena Bora's 164 statement, CBI decided to move ahead. There were deliberations between the Mumbai special team of CBI, which is probing, and the Delhi CBI headquarters, and a decision was taken to effect his arrest today.
Atir, Vidya, Sahil, Kamaljeet, stay with me. I want to now get you to meet two top criminal lawyers. Diljit Singh Ahluwalia is a Supreme Court advocate. He's joining me in the studios. He believes that the CBI is on the right track by arresting Peter Mukerjea. He, in fact, was with us in the studio. I remember a few weeks ago when the story first broke, and at that time too you said that Peter Mukerjea's role is crucial and that will emerge in the days and weeks to come. He's been proven right today. With us also Tanveer Ahmed Mir is joining us from Chandigarh. He believes that this is a complete mistake, that the CBI should not have arrested Peter Mukerjea. I want to start with you, Tanveer, because we've heard what the CBI sources are telling us. You think this is a mistake. Why do you think the CBI is erring by arresting Peter Mukerjea? Tanveer.
Rahul, I'm absolutely amazed. Nothing can be a bigger blunder. You see, we are talking about a case in which a charge sheet has been filed against Indrani Sanjeev Khanna and the driver Sheena Bora today by CBI for criminal offences of murder, conspiracy and abduction. Now, during the course of this entire investigation which has been with CBI, the facts are very clear. The murder takes place sometime on 24th of April 2012 in a car. 3 persons allegedly, as per Mumbai police, as per CBI, are present in the car. Then the body is burnt and dumped in Raigad. Now again, these are the 3 persons who are present there. Then the car is taken somewhere else. You see, I am amazed. You see, if you are saddling Peter Mukerjea with a criminal offence of conspiracy, then you could have arrested him on the very first place. You see, we cannot forget the landmark judgment of Rajiv Gandhi assassination case in State versus Nalini, where the honorable judges of the Honorable Supreme Court said that even if a person has knowledge about a criminal conspiracy, he doesn't become a criminal conspirator himself.
That's a very important point you're making. You've set the stage for this debate. I'm coming back to you for further comments, but you've cited an important illustration to suggest even if somebody is aware of a conspiracy, he doesn't necessarily become an accomplice unless he actively participates, and he's citing the Rajiv Gandhi case. So how do you believe, Diljit, that the CBI is doing the right thing by arresting Peter Mukerjea?
See, as far as this particular proposition or law is concerned, I am with him that knowledge or even discussion for that matter does not constitute criminal conspiracy. There's got to be a prior concert of mind. However, in this particular case, we have to see the conspectus of the entire case. How the case started with a phone call coming from UP, how Indrani was there in Bombay when the so-called information reached the police and this entire thing took place.
What's your point?
My point is that initially the Bombay police was trying to look at the financial angle of abroad as to where the money has gone in a previous case. How was the Bombay police at that time interested in this particular angle? It seemed to be that it was Peter Mukerjea who was backstaging this entire thing. He was interested in the investigation, unearthing as to where the money was parked outside. Now, as far as this particular thing is concerned, why is Peter Mukerjea beyond any reproach or doubt? Let me give a very small example. When Indrani was arrested, at that time, Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani was not taking care of her case. It was one of the juniors from his office who was taking care of the case of Indrani, who was the prime accused.
So you're suggesting that Peter Mukerjea knew all along at some point in time he could possibly become an accused. That's why he kept Mahesh Jethmalani for him.
Yes, otherwise there would have been a conflict. That's why Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani was kept back, and there was a junior from his office who was taking care of such a high-profile case.
Tanvir, do you find this strange that Gunjan Mangla, who's a junior counsel, is deputed by Mahesh Jethmalani to handle a very high-profile case, whereas Mahesh Jethmalani himself, the big gun in the equation, he stays back because he's kept aside for Peter Mukerjea. Now, if Peter Mukerjea is actually interested in his wife's interest, why would he not deploy Mahesh Jethmalani for him? Daljit Singh suggests that this is because Peter knew all along at some point in time he may be made an accused. How do you respond?
No, this is the last thing. This is the last thing what Mr. Ahluwalia or anybody else should be saying. Hello, Rahul, are you able to hear me?
I hear you, go ahead.
No, this is the last thing. You know, which lawyer will represent which accused cannot determine that which accused has committed what kind of a crime. I am amazed if Mr. Ahluwalia is holding such a proposition, whether on this kind of a proposition it would be sustainable to arrest a gentleman. And
that's just a conspiracy theory. Surely that by itself is intriguing, but it doesn't prove anything. Tanvir Ahmed Mir is right. That's a suggestion,
absolutely,
but it doesn't prove anything by itself.
I am not talking about the conspiracy. If he has been arrested, he has not been arrested because somebody is representing him or somebody is representing Indrani. The fact of the matter is that the circumstances of the case are so clear that Mr. Peter
One by one, just 1 second. Tanvir, allow me to lay the rules for this debate. I don't want both guests speaking at the same time. I promise to give both of you an adequate opportunity to make your case. You've made a suggestion. Let's hear from Tanvir. Tanvir, go ahead.
Yes. You see, the CBI's, the three main grounds for arresting Peter Mukerjea is that the CBI needs custodial interrogation.
That's right.
Secondly, Peter Mukerjea has been given conflicting answers and there is some theory of suppression of facts. First, on custodial interrogation, you cannot take somebody into custodial interrogation to compel him to draw a confession. Now, the Honorable Supreme Court of India in number of judgments says that if a person, say, refuses a particular fact, then you cannot say that I need him in custody only for the purposes of reversing that refusal. Secondly, for conflicting answers, the CBI was well within its rights during the course of investigation before filing of this charge sheet to confront Peter with Indrani and others face to face as far as alleged involvement in hatching or being a part of the conspiracy in abduction of Sheena, murder of Sheena in a car, and
now that's an important point that you make as well. I don't want to get too far ahead in this debate, but you made another important point. And I want Diljit to respond to it because, fair enough, that's a good point that you're making. You're saying that he's not answering questions and therefore you want custodial interrogation. What you're essentially saying in layman's terms is he's not answering the questions the way you think he should answer the questions and therefore you want to take him into custody so that you can force him in whatever way Indian policing system coerces people. You want to coerce him into giving the answer you believe is the right answer.
See, as a defense lawyer, that is the exact proposition I take up in law. But the point of the matter is that custodial interrogation is something which has been authorized by the Honorable Supreme Court. It is there in the statute books. He can be subjected to custodial. Now, nobody is asking him to say anything during the custodial interrogation. If he is giving inconsistent answers and his answers are not corroborating with the statement of other people, then the CBI has every right to seek his custodial interrogation. He is not going to be beaten during the custodial interrogation. He is going to be asked certain questions which are going to have a tendency of self-incrimination. He has a right of silence. He can keep quiet about it. In fact,
but the one very important fact, Tanveer, is that Rahul Mukherjee has been saying all along that once Sheena went missing, forever he was telling his father that there is something that is suspicious, that her passport is with me, she can't possibly go missing. This is something that Rahul first told the Mumbai police, now he's been telling the CBI. The fact that Peter Mukerjee knew about this, the fact that his son was telling him, yet he chose not to believe his son, so much so that relations got fractured between father and son because Peter was on Indrani's side at that time. That by itself shows that Peter Mukerjee has a lot to answer for. That by itself is highly suspicious.
Rahul, the argument is chalk and cheese. The argument, forgive me to say, the argument is chalk and cheese. Because it is one proposition that somebody puts a question that where the lady has gone, and it's altogetherly a different proposition that I am involved in somebody's murder. We cannot lose you see, the sight of the fact that Peter is not present in that car. Peter is not present in the entire chronology of events. You trying to saddle, Peter with something of which he has no knowledge at all. If subsequently certain facts have taken place that do not justify any kind of indictment, forget arrest. I think you see the CBI is indulging in big time blunders as they do on a daily basis. You're filing a charge sheet. For God's sake, you're filing a charge sheet today, which means that the entire investigation, the prime conspirators, the prime murderers is over. So if I am a conspirator in murder of Sheena Bora, how is it that you file a charge sheet
That's a
today
good point. That's a very good point.
Arrest me today?
That's a very strong legal point that when the charge sheet was filed, at that time the CBI had not made Peter Mukerjee an accused. After the charge sheet has been filed, then suddenly he becomes an accused, that they want to move in and arrest him. Does that not reveal some kind of a lacuna in the manner in which this investigation is being carried out?
Law supports further investigation.
No, but why not then name him in the charge sheet as an accused?
That is the right of the police to do further investigation.
No, but there has to be some logic behind it.
I'll tell you the logic. On a particular day when the charge sheet is filed, the investigation is complete, quote the three accused, and they have filed a charge sheet. Now they pick up a person on the basis of certain evidence which must have come on record subsequent to that.
No, but Tanveer says, importantly, that if Peter is involved in the conspiracy for murder or suppression of facts, then he is part of the conspiracy as well.
No,
how can he not be part of the charge sheet?
How do you say that he's an accused? If he was an accused, he would have been arraigned as an accused in the charge sheet. That means they have not been able to get material with regard to him.
Then why
they
arrest
have
him?
every right to carry out further investigation.
No, but why arrest him?
No, see, arrest is something, they would have given the grounds of the arrest. Tomorrow he is going to be taken before a magistrate. There is a judgment which says that if at that time there is no material, or if the magistrate feels that there was no requirement or no ground for arrest, he can release him at that time. So
no, but surely the CBI has to have some logic for arresting Peter Mukerjee.
The logic here is, I'm just telling you that there is a proposition of law, that there is investigation which is completed, quote the three accused. They filed a charge sheet. Charge sheet is only filed when the investigation is complete. However, the CBI has the right to carry out further investigation in the case. During the course of further investigation, if there is some material which comes, or they have suspicion that this person is somebody we have to focus the investigation on, they can very well carry out further investigation.
Let Tanveer respond to that. They've got three big accused, the main accused, then you've got someone who you wish to probe further. That doesn't necessarily mean, Diljit argues, that Peter Mukerjee's name should have also been incorporated into the charge sheet. It is the CBI's investigation now, and any investigative officer needs a certain amount of leeway to do it the way he wants.
Rahul, you see, you can't place the cart before the horse. You see, when you are investigating my role in abduction, murder and destruction of evidence, then you see my investigation has to coincide with the investigation of other accused persons. You see, a person is subsequently investigated
Okay.
if he is involved in the primary commission of offences only if he is an absconder. Peter Mukerjea has not absconded. It is not that he has run away, he is a fugitive, and he was found 2 years after the main people were charge-sheeted, and thereafter he was subsequently also charge-sheeted for murder. Here is Peter Mukerjea all the time available to you. You
Why didn't they
talking
arrest him
about
then
a
on the first
positive
day?
role in a murder.
Everything you knew about him today, you knew several weeks ago as well. Final words from you. Diljit.
Weeks ago.
See, as far
Absolutely,
as that is,
you have
that
hit,
is the
hit the nail
discretion
on
of
the
the
head.
investigative agency. They have got
No,
certain
but it can't be on a
material.
whim and a fancy.
No,
there
it
has to
is
be some
not.
logic behind it.
See, as far as the arrest is concerned, they would have given the grounds of the arrest.
Are also to be
We don't
questioned.
know what are the grounds of the arrest as of now.
We'll know tomorrow morning
We'll
in
get to know
court.
tomorrow.
You
A
heard
copy of that
two
would have been given.
very strongly argued, completely opposite points of view. We don't take sides. You've heard from Diljit arguing on behalf of the CBI. Tanveer Ahmed has put up a strong case for Peter Mukerjea. His lawyer will, of course, be using some of these points when Peter is produced in the court tomorrow. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us and sharing your thoughts on this big sensational arrest. I want to go across now to Aviruk Sen. He used to work with Indrani Mukerjea at the channel which was being set up as part of INX Media. We'll get reactions from him and from a few other people. But before that, let me quickly get you some key excerpts from that interview that we did with Peter Mukerjea the day after this story broke. The day after Indrani Mukerjea was arrested, Peter Mukerjea spoke to India Today. He also spoke about how he had absolutely no idea about what Indrani was about. So just to revise our memories, let's listen to what Peter Mukerjea told India Today that time.
Look, my version is very, very clear, is that, look, I am completely shocked and horrified by the information that I'm getting and by the revelations that are coming out almost by the hour, both in terms of, who Sheena Bora actually is, whether she's sister or daughter, who is Mikhail, whether he's brother or son, how many marriages Indrani has had in the past, and the entire episode of Sheena Bora going missing and being, murdered, so to speak. Well, I know of them. I've met them. There's no doubt about it. And they were introduced to me as Indrani's siblings. And so I have no reason to doubt that. When I met them, that's what they said. And there was, I was introduced as my younger sister and my younger brother. So that was how I related to them in that manner. Throughout my 15-year marriage, I have to say, I never once have met Indrani's parents, nor any other members of her family. And so, I have no contact number for her parents. Never spoken to them, never met them. The only two people I met is Sheena and Mikhail, and I was told that this is brother and sister, so I had no reason to doubt that. Some years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, I had asked her this because I'd heard this theory, and I asked Indrani about it, and she completely refuted it to the extent that she said that's complete rubbish, and so please do not believe such nonsense. So I said, fine, if that's what you're saying, then as a wife, I believe you. I have no reason to go out and double check the facts or go back and do a back check or anything, because that's not what you do. She was in a relationship with my younger son, and I wasn't fully in approving sort of status of that, nor was Indrani, nor was Indrani's parents. So really the communication between us was limited to virtually nothing. Indrani would probably speak to Sheena from time to time, and I would speak to my son until that communication also stopped at that time, because there wasn't really, it was too fractious a relationship to be in a communication mode. If this is true, if this is all true and is proved to be true, I think it is wrong of her to have done that. Of course, if it's not true and it's proved otherwise, then fair enough. But if it is true and it is proved to be so, and if for some reason she confesses and says so, then of course I'm going to be horrified and feel betrayed. When my son said this to me, it was a doubt in the back of my mind.
Yes.
But I can't say no, there wasn't a doubt. Of course, that doubt got created, and that doubt, then I put it aside because I believed my wife was speaking the truth and my son was being given information by his girlfriend. And I thought at that point that what my wife was telling me was more accurate than otherwise. I'm the one who's facing one of the biggest, the biggest shock, because I'm living with it. You know, and it's something that I had broached with Imrani at one point after I'd heard from my son about it. I said, look, is this possible? She's, Rahul is telling me that she's your daughter. And he said, what rubbish. This is not so. So that was the end of that conversation. So there was really no any further discussion on that, because I wasn't going to, as I say, I wasn't going to go back and go, investigating behind that. Because that was, that's not the way to lead a relationship. And so, really, there was nothing more to discuss, and it was a taboo subject. It was a taboo relationship. So, we didn't really discuss it over the dining table or whatever.
Hello.
Mahesh Jethmalani is now joining us on this broadcast. He's just landed in Delhi. We're live, Mr. Jethmalani. I want a very quick reaction. I know you've just landed. Very quickly, Peter Mukerjea, your client, sir, has been arrested by the CBI. As his counsel, can I get your first reaction, sir?
I have no idea. I just got a message that he's been arrested for 201, right? That is concealing evidence, but I don't know what the exact charge is. He's not involved. He's not been arrested for murder, from what I understand. He's only been arrested for a charge of 201, which is a bailable offence. And I think that he's been arrested at 11 o'clock. So,
when did you find out about this, Mahesh?
Just now, I literally landed, and I got a message that there's an arrest memo issued just now. I mean, literally about half an hour ago or so.
Were you expecting this? You've been chatting with him all through this while?
No, I have not been expecting this at all. I don't even know on what basis this 201 charge has been leveled. But I'm just going to talk to the family members the moment I get on the flight and find out.
We had a senior lawyer with us on the show, Mr. Jethmalani. He said that Peter anticipated this all along, which is why he kept you for him and he didn't get you to spend any time with Indrani. He said he anticipated this.
I don't think in the remotest, it was even remotely within his conception that this could have happened. And I really don't know what the evidence is. And as I said, the charge is one of 201. It seems to be the arrest memo discloses 201, not any other.
CBI sources are telling us that they want to do custodial interrogation, that they believe is guilty of suppression of facts, changing statements and destruction of evidence. What do you make of that?
Well, custodial interrogation can't be granted for a bailable offence.
Okay, suppression of facts, changing statements, being part of the conspiracy?
It's a bailable offence under 201. That's the charge for which he's been arrested as per the memo. Now, all this I'm saying is very tenuous because I just got off a flight.
Fair enough. I respect that and I understand that, but we're also in the middle of a breaking situation, so I'm sorry to press you. I want to let you go, but what will be your approach in court tomorrow, Mr. Jethmalani?
Well, the approach tomorrow will be, see, if it's a bailable offence, he has to get bail as of right. There's no question of he has to be produced over a magistrate and given bail.
One of the things the CBI sources are telling us is that Rahul Mukerjea had been telling Peter all along that I've got Sheena's passport, there's no way she can be in the United States, something is terribly fishy, and Peter didn't respond to that.
Well, I don't know whether Rahul has said that at all. I mean, this is what you're telling me, but I don't know whether this is what...
No, but this is true. This is true. This has emerged in the past as well, that Rahul said that he'd been telling Peter about the fact that her passport was with him and that he hadn't responded. That by itself is very suspicious.
But tell me, even if that was so, how was that a matter of Peter concealing evidence?
No, your son tells you that he's got the passport, your wife is telling you that the daughter is abroad. That by itself is something which is very, very strange and suspicious.
Well, I can't comment on that because I don't know whether that's what Rahul has actually told Peter, but even if it's true, it doesn't disclose an offence under 201.
You had several problems with the way the Mumbai police was carrying out the investigations. As Peter's defence counsel, what do you make of CBI's approach?
Well, I mean, by and large, I have no complaint with the CBI investigation at all. Even though this, I must say, is the most shocking turn of events as far as I'm concerned, there must be, the CBI must have some reasonable ground to believe that there's an offence under 201. So, until one sees what the case is, it's very difficult for me to make allegations against the CBI.
Okay, and what's your strongest argument when it comes to arguing for Peter's defense?
It's very difficult to even tell you the outline of an argument when, frankly speaking, I don't know what the charge and what the facts on which that charge is based are.
Did this surprise you? Did you have any inclination that something like this was cooking, that they were working towards this?
No. Frankly, no.
Did you and...
Absolutely not. I'm quite shocked because I don't believe that there's any case of tampering of evidence or any such thing.
Did you and Peter during any of your conversations discuss the possibility of him being arrested?
No, not at all. We never thought that he'd ever be arrested in this case. In fact, all along, both the Bombay police and the CBI had never given an inkling that he's even remotely involved or is under suspicion. A statement has been recorded as a witness by both the Bombay police and the CBI.
Okay, since
this is the last minute turn of events.
Okay, since you've just landed, I won't push this anymore. Thank you very much, Mr. Jethmalani, for joining me. I appreciate this. I hope once you've landed, collected your thoughts, we'll be able to have a detailed conversation with you. Thank you,
Sure.
Mr. Jethmalani, for joining us on India Today. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, we just about managed to get Mahesh Jethmalani on the phone. He's just landed from Mumbai in Delhi. We'll keep tracking the story very closely.